Hey everyone, take a seat and get comfortable. Here's what your favorite exotic weapon says about you, featuring literally every single exotic in all of Destiny 2. Ace of Spades. Starting off with a bang. You're a PvP player and your taste is beyond question. You very much have an attitude of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's worked out really well for you because Ace has been a stellar gold standard PvP primary from literally start to finish. You have grinded for other hand cannons, but only because it gave you something fun to chase, not because you ever needed to. And the fact that your favorite exotic was directly tied to one of the best characters in the franchise? Chef's goddamn kiss. Ager's Scepter. Ain't nothing complicated about it. You like stasis and you like freezing things. Odds are you have a really fun build you enjoy using with this exotic at the very center, where you've absolutely maxed out your super gen so you can keep feeding your freeze ray indefinitely. Also, depending on how old you are, you've probably made a few Mr. Freeze puns here and there. Quick side note, if you're young enough to have absolutely no idea what movie I'm referencing right now, it's probably for the best, don't worry about it. And I hope you're able to get your hands on some affordable housing someday. Alethonym. Blessed be the Alethonym users who usually rock the gun for one of two reasons. One, you like launching yourself for fun movement tech, which honestly, respect. Or two, you wield Alethonym for the incredibly noble purpose of generating heavy ammo for your team. If you fall into that particular camp, congratulations, I've been given the approval to tell you that you are in fact getting into heaven one day. Firm handshakes all around. Oh, and movement tech Alethonyms, they can get into heaven too, but they have to blast their way up there. Anarchy. You are a man of class. You long for the meta of old, where you would proudly stick two prongs into some big chunky boss and go to town on that bad boy, swapping back and forth between two slug shotties so fast it was giving you hand cramps. But despite having a hardcore side, you might also be a bit silly. You might have made a pentagram on the floor or two, and sadly, no sexy demons appeared in your gaming room, but you still had fun doing it. Arbalest. One of two things is true. Either one, you used this gun in PvE because it was a shockingly good champion killer and then you liked it well enough and kept using it, or two, you used it in PvP at the height of its dominant period and you might have even said something along the lines of, you know, I never really clicked with snipers before, but I love using the Arbalest. And if I'm describing you, yeah, I have a whole lot of words I could share with you, but it probably wouldn't be any worse than what you've already said to yourself in the mirror most nights. Bad Juju. There's a really high chance you use this exotic because you like the way it looks and you talk a big game about how awesome it is at building up your super really fast. And man, I really hate to be the one to tell you this, but everything in the current state of D2 builds up your super really fast. It's never been easier to farm super, and your favorite exotic, while definitely cool looking, has been among the most majorly left behind power crept guns in the entire game. But hey, look on the bright side. At least it fires full auto. Barrow-Dyad. You like being just a little bit different, and in all honesty, you probably first wanted to use the Barrow-Dyad because you thought it looked sick as hell, and really, who could blame you? Once you started using it, you found it felt pretty good, and you genuinely enjoy using it as part of your build. Odds are also fairly good that you're a Titan rockin' Peacekeepers, and you love nothing more than ripping into a thick enemy with a fresh batch of blight rounds. Bastion. You are that guy in PvP, and not only are you aware of that, but you wear it like a badge of honor. You collect angry post-game PvP messages like Thanos collecting Infinity Stones, and nothing makes you happier than completely humbling shotgun apes who, for whatever reason, make it their life's goal to just run straight at you out in the open. Black Talon. Be real, you like this exotic because it's elegant as all hell, and you know what? I can't really argue with you at all. Black Talon might not be a god tier weapon, hell it might not even be middle of the bell curve, but you'll be damned if you care because it looks really good in your hands. Borealis. In all likelihood, there was probably a time early on in your D2 career where you just got really annoyed with the whole needing to match the right element to better damage the right shield thing and said, screw it, I'm just putting on Borealis. And it was fun for a while, but eventually the game evolved to the point where you sorta didn't really need to bother with that anymore. But you still think the sniper's kinda cool. Buried Bloodline. You appreciate the finer things, including this sick looking exotic. For real though, A++ to the weapon devs, they understood the assignment, someone cooked here, and so on. That being being said though, despite being a rocket sidearm, the Double B is arguably the weakest of its bloodline, getting hard outclassed by nearly all of its rocket sidearm brethren. But bro, it grants free devour, you shout. And it's true, but sadly your friends don't have the heart to tell you that there are so many other ways to regen your health in D2. Still, you got class, ain't no one denying that. Centrifuse. I think deep down you know this isn't that strong of an exotic in the grand scheme of things, but whatever. You enjoy creating free explosions and you really enjoy blinding entire groups of enemies. Far be it from me to tell you what you can and can't use, so blind away, oh devoted Arc 3.0 lover. And hey man, I'll admit it, the boat-themed design on this gun is 10 out of 10. I feel like this is the kind of gun that Mr. Krabs would use if he were a Guardian, and Lord knows I can't really hate on that. Cerberus +1. You're the kind of person who enjoys finding hidden gems in a thrift store. And in a similar fashion, there was just something about this jank-looking junkyard dog that really appealed to you. A bunch of broken, mismatched weapon parts all bunched up, barely held together, and quasi-functional. Just like you. And just like you somehow managed to make it all work? Hell yeah. Choir of one. You are, without question, a PvE player, and probably a good one at that. Odds are you have a Twitter profile that features a few of your day one raid placements, and you love min-maxing your loadouts and going hard in endgame content. You were probably a little bit cheesed off at the final exotic patch notes, which gave your beloved baby a little bit of a gut punch, but oh well. You know one thing they can't nerf? All the awesome boss melting memories you've made with this beautiful gun. Cloudstrike. I'm gonna be real, there are only two types of players who wield Cloudstrike, and you know exactly which one you are. Either you're a diehard PvP junkie who grins from ear to ear each and every time you nail a sweet collateral headshot with your beloved sniper, in which case I will say jokingly that I hate you, or you're a cheater. Not like a you play dishonorably or whatever, like you actually just straight up cheat in comp and trials, and truly, you just really suck as a person, and I actually genuinely don't like you. And believe me, I know that doesn't bother you. In fact, it probably makes you giggle, but that's okay because deep down, I know that you really just hate yourself, and that's so much sweeter for me. And I'm sure that even deeper down, you know you suck at the game, and that's why you use banned devices and software, because truly, in your heart of hearts, you know that you just can't hang. Coldheart. You love antiques, and you are a Destiny old head, and that is coming from me. You probably have a lot of fond memories of using this bad boy to burn down Emperor Callus, you know, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Collective obligation. The smart money says you are a big fan of Void 3.0 builds, and you spent a bunch of time fine-tuning your loadout with the obligation as the shining jewel of the whole thing. You have a constantly updating mental flowchart of the exact order of operations of when to go debuff mode. It's all very complicated, and your friends tell you you could probably use something stronger, but nah, you worked hard on that build and by God, you're gonna use it. Conditional finality. There's a chance that you're a PvE player who uses this to pack a mean punch in certain encounters and or to deal with champions, but the far more likely answer is that you're a PvP shotgun ape extraordinaire and the finality has remained your beautiful baby after all this time. You were annoyed when it got toned down after the height of its insane meta-crushing dominance, but it was still good, and you fondly used it to annihilate people after all this time. You also have many clips saved of various bubble titans you've managed to kill in trials over the years with this gun. Memories. Crimson. Odds are you're a PvP player who plays on controller, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Every single time you manage to outshoot and kill an MNK player wielding Rose, Ace, Crimmel, or any of the other classic hand cannons, you can't help but giggle a little bit to yourself. Oh, and you were hella psyched to learn that your beloved Guardian Killer was getting free to the pain for the final patch. Just don't let the Vanguard know you're using this, because remember, technically, it doesn't exist. Cryosthesia. You are, without question, a PvP troll with very particular taste. Teabagging? Trash talking? Nah, none of that will do. The only thing that satisfies you is that feeling you get when you freeze another player dead in their tracks so you can finish them off however you want, usually with a sniper or a glorious throwing knife. And just knowing that while you're doing all of that, that the other guy is probably punching his desk so hard it's showing up on local seismographs fills your heart with warm, fuzzy butterflies butterflies that you can't describe. Cull's Shadow. If this is your favorite exotic in the history of Destiny 2, then I have to imagine it's either because the weapon just looks rad as fuck, or maybe more likely because this weapon was earned in the last exotic mission we were ever given in the game, which for the record was actually a pretty dope mission, but either way, it clearly has great sentimental value to you, which I really respect. Totally random side note, Sony can eat my entire ass. D.A.R.C.I. One of three things is true. 1, you like using the D.A.R.C.I in PvP because it just feels good for some reason. 2, you use it in PvE, though you know full well that it's just bad. Or 3, you waste a lot of time using it as a yardstick to measure random stats in private lobbies. Hey, why the hell am I crying right now? Dead Man's Tale. You're a fun-loving PvP player, and when this gun first came out, you all of a sudden went full-on yeehaw mode, laughing and enjoying every minute of the most free hipfire kills of your life. You understood, but were still annoyed at the fact that Bungie toned down your beloved cowboy rifle, but you felt a deep kinship with the weapon ever since, and you still love to use it. Also, MP Edit's YouTube video on the DMT remains one of your most watched pieces of YouTube media. Dead Messenger. You probably only seriously picked up this gun for the first time after you tried it in PvP and used it for sliding Warlock arc melee shenanigans, cackling like a hyena each and every time you were able to get a kill. In which case, hey man, make sure to pick up some extra strength sunblock for that one-way trip to hell. Deathbringer. You like to have fun, and you know your fave exotic ain't meta, but you don't care. The Deathbringer is cool as hell, both in design and the way it spreads out to dish out pain like some kind of awesome eldritch power weapon. You especially love it when you fire a shot across the map in Crucible and then moments later get a kill notification in your HUD. A truly underrated feeling that you wish more of your fellow Guardians would try to experience. Delicate Tomb. If this truly is your favorite exotic in the game, then you without question love your arc build and you love playing your favorite game. Make and collect as many ionic traces as you can. You are really excited for the opportunity to now get access to 7 different artifacts all at the same time, because it means you can craft the most perfect arc forward focused build that you can use whenever you want. You're like the Witness if the final shape was trying to obtain and preserve the perfect ionic trace loadout. Deterministic Chaos. You like machine guns, and this one feels extra fun to you. You're fully aware it's far from the best gun in the game, but it looks sick as hell, and hey man, free weekend. Your friends tell you to go and grind for better heavy weapons, but man, who are you? Saltagrepo? Ain't no more day 1 raids, breh. You're just here to have fun. Devil's Ruin. Man, the difference in what this exotic is now and what it used to be is like the difference between Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. If this is your favorite exotic right now, you're probably a Fire Sprite enjoyer, which, you know, fine, but a bit weird. But if this was your favorite exotic, man, you were a fan of Peak, and I like you. Old Devil's Ruin was so underappreciated, but you were laughing with glee as you burned down half the PvP lobby with your special weapon disguised as a primary. You're sad at how they massacred your boy, and buddy, I am right there with you. Ah well, better to have loved and lost. Divinity. You are a team player through and through. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Always thank your local div bitch. And that is a term of endearment, by the way, as Divinity users are the designated drivers of D2. And you also take great pride in what you do. You had the tap fire pacing down to a science, and you were glad you were the guy your team relied on so they could put up big damage numbers. And of course, it means you don't have to stress about putting up big damage numbers. So, you know, win-win. Dragon's Breath. You know what you like, and that's that. I actually respect the hell out of people who use Dragon's Breath. It's got that awesome paint job, and it's really fun to just light an entire room on fire whenever you want. You frequently pair it together with your favorite solar burn everything build, and when you do, you're happier than a pig in shit. I tell you what. Duality. I only know a few people who truly main Duality, and let me tell you, all of them are PvP crackheads who are genuinely not to be trifled with. They love the versatility of that gun, and they effortlessly go between hipfire pellet shooting and ADS slugging with no difficulty at all. It's like watching a pro baseball player who knows how to bat both lefty and righty. Edge of action, concurrence, and intent. Those who main the exotic glaives actually only just have one thing in common, which is they really like glaives. Other than that, it varies a lot depending on their class. Intent users do love to poka, but they also really love leaning into into the group medic vibe. Action users love making teeny tiny bubbles, which usually are somehow tied up in other shenanigans, and concurrence wielders, how do I say this delicately, really love committing what I can only describe as war crimes in PvP. Ergo Sum. You're a sword enjoyer, and you like effing around with your blade in PvE. You have a few different roles of this bad boy laying around that you dig swapping between, and you love when a boss fight calls for sword DPS because it means you get to be the guy who gives everybody Wolfpack sword rounds. It's like when somebody asks you if you have a lighter and you actually have one. Hey, cheers to you, Ergo Sum guy. May your exotic sword collection be plentiful and silly. Eriana's Vow. There's a slight chance you may have enjoyed this in PvE for whatever reason, but I would put all of my money on you loving nothing more than terrorizing people in PvP with this gun. And there's an even higher likelihood that you used Eriana for the forbidden tech, which we no longer speak of by name. And if you think I'm singling you out right now, come on. I think we both know deep down you're a naughty boy, but I also know that you just don't care. Euphony. You're very likely a diehard Strand Warlock, or at the very least, somebody who just really enjoys using Strand, and Threadlings in particular are your jam. You like using the Euphony for DPS at any given opportunity, and you're really excited that you now get to comb through multiple forever artifacts to put together the unholiest Strand Threadling build known to man, Diris. You know what you like, and by God, you like Hive. Therefore, you immediately loved the idea of this exotic from the moment you first heard about it. There's an extremely high probability that the first time you ever used this gun against a Hive Boomer Knight, you said out loud on the microphone, "Yeah, how do you like it? How do you like it, huh?" You're also very likely a hunter who has a matching Diris loadout featuring Mothkeeper's wraps. You also may or may not like moths in general, and have frequently and unironically referred to Savathûn as Moth Mommy, Eyes of Tomorrow. You like a gun with a little flair. You probably grinded your ass off to finally get the eyes to drop after Lord knows how many attempts, and by God, you're gonna use it. And when you did, you found out it was hella fun, actually. Definitely not the best exotic out there, but screw it. You don't know who on the weapons team was on what when they made this gun, but life's too short not to have fun. Fafnir. You're a real one for sure. You know that somebody on your team has got to be the debuff guy, and you're happy to make that happen. That, or you just don't want to risk being the lowest DPS number on the wipe screen, so you volunteer to be the debuff guy. Either way, though, you're still appreciated. Fighting Lion. You are, in all likelihood, a PvP enjoyer, and you have gotten extremely good at using the lion to harass your opponents in various ways. You're like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover, calculating tons of random math on the fly, resulting in knowing exactly what angles to hit in order to bank shots around corners and harass players who can't even see you. Either that or you're just cami cakes. But honestly, same thing. Final warning. You are a PvP player and a fiend. You picked up the final warning because it looked kind of interesting and you felt it had a lot of oddly good potential. So you kept using it and you got really good with it. It certainly ain't meta, but that ain't gonna stop you from completely effing up people with it from over barricades and around corners, that's for damn sure. Finality's Auger. I mean... Move this man! I kid. I think the little turret guy is awesome, and I do love watching him rain down fire upon his foes. That being said, if this is your favorite exotic at the very end of D2, I mean, yeah, I get it, but come on, man, mix it up a little bit. This is the exotic weapon equivalent of eating chicken nuggies every night of the week for dinner. Don't get me wrong, they're great, but a little variety won't kill you, I promise. Forerunner. You're a PvP guy, and although there's a chance you play on M&K, I'd be willing to bet a fat stack of Glimmer you play on the sticks. You're also probably a Trials demon, and you love smoking people from downtown with your glorious 3-tap machine. And even though it's basically a waste of ammo 99% of the time, you still chuck the old school frag grenade at people whenever you can, cause it's funny, god damn it. Gallarhorn. You're not a fan of the classics, you're a fan of the classic, the OG, and you absolutely don't need to explain why to anyone, cause everybody understands. Gallarhorn is timeless, iconic. You gladly volunteer to equip G-Horn during DPS so you can buff your rocket-wielding homies. You're like that guy at the gym who spots everybody out of the goodness of his heart. Deep down, you are very happy that G-Horn was good when it was first introduced into the game, and it's still good now at the very end. Grand Overture. You are a PvE demon. You raid, you dungeon, you solo flawless, you low man, you do it all. After using this beast of an exotic for the first time and realizing how reliable it was in your back pocket just in case for every day 1 event from then on. Maybe not in your build directly, but in your inventory for sure. And every time there's a burst damage DPS opportunity, you whip that puppy out with glee. Graviton Lance. You're a PvE enjoyer, albeit a lazy one, and you delight in pulling the trigger one time and making the room go boom with wall-to-wall purple-flavored explosions. You were a little bit salty when you heard that the Graviton was getting tweaked a bit in the final exotic patch notes, and you enjoy shitposting on Twitter because you are DTM. Graviton Spike. Why don't we put all our cards on the table here? I am gonna straight up accuse you of being an absolute PvP meta whore who used the ever-loving out of this gun at the height of its viability, and you're just gonna nod along in agreement. Cause, I mean, we both know it's true, why deny it? And sure, you probably caused a ton of casual PvP enjoyers to throw their controllers through the living room TV, but I guess every game needs a Yumi. Hardlight, look, no matter how you slice it, if this is your favorite exotic, you're kinda living in the past. In PvE, yay, you can change elements. Does that really even matter at this point? Just bulldoze your foes with free ability spam like everybody else. In PvP, well, I mean, I hope you're enjoying it, but you're probably not exactly top fragging on the regular, if you know what I'm saying. Hey, at least you have a portable laser light show in your pocket and you like to have fun. Hawkmoon. You are a lover of fine things. Hawkmoon is a rare combination, elegant as hell and quite lethal in PvP. Most of the time you play normally, but once you start building stacks of paracausal charge, you slowly start leaning forward in your gaming chair and locking the F in, because the feeling of nailing that one-tap kill with the audio of that hawk call? Whew, good lord. The amount of dopamine that runs through you when that happens is unrivaled. Also, your favorite streamer is Zavaler, and you spent weeks hitting up Zur until he finally had that one perfect roll you were waiting for. Heart Shadow. Admitted, you were originally drawn to this exotic by its design alone. It has undeniable aura, and looks kind of like something a sexy vampire might wield in a Castlevania anime. So you tried it and thought it was fun enough. You have a detailed build to get as much juice out of it as possible, and you gladly tell people about it on the mic whether they ask you to or not. Heir Apparent. I really just have one question for you. Why? Only you can say, I guess. Or maybe you can't? Maybe even you don't know why you like this thing. At least it looks cool, I guess. Heirloom. Hey, you're a simple man. You like hitting hard and making things go boom. The Heirloom lets you do both. And of course, it doesn't hurt that it's the weapon of choice of everybody's favorite 7-foot-tall hairy sci-fi hero. Hierarchy of needs. You know, my original write-up for Hierarchy mains was teasing them a little bit, but saying that at least they use what they like and know how to have fun. But good lord, how the tables have turned. If Hierarchy is your favorite exotic right now, there's a 99% chance you just learned that it is insanely easy and free DPS for the rest of time. Man, Bungie really did want us just to use each other's holes, didn't they? Icebreaker. Icebreaker was probably your favorite exotic by a mile in D1 because of how much utility it offered and how great it was. It had insane amounts of aura back then. It was just so handy to have in your back pocket for endgame PvE. You were thrilled when it eventually came to D2, but admittedly, you feel like it's lost a lot of pep in its step since the old days. Oh well, it was there for you when you were a kindergarten, and you'll be there for it in its twilight years. Izanagi's Burden. You have damn good taste, and that is not up for debate. Well, provided you use Izanagi's Burden in PvE, where you spent your glory days being a DPS min-max and rocket launcher Izanagi swapping Chad. Izanagi is sleek as hell and has one of the best sound bites in the game. Man, you never get tired of hearing that. Oh, but if you're an Izanagi's user in PvP or Gambit though, then yeah, none of what I said is for you at all. As a matter of fact, get the hell out of here. Go in the timeout corner. You know what you did. Jotun. You probably used this for the first time in PvP and laughed like a drunk hyena the first time you tagged somebody across the map with a tracking enhanced fireball. You tell all your casual PvP homies how slept on you think the Jotun is. It isn't, by the way, and none of your buds ever seem to listen to you. Oh well, you still have fun cooking people with fireballs, and ain't nobody gonna convince you to main another fusion. There's a very small chance that if this is truly your favorite exotic of all time, you might even own the limited edition Jotun toaster, in which case, goddamn, I think you might need help, but Lord knows I ain't gonna be the one to give it to you. Kvostov. Now we are talking. If I could give you a pound through the screen, I would. People say Dave Attell is a comics comic. Well, this is an exotics exotic. When you heard that Kvostov was coming back, you were intrigued because so many of us who started our journey back in D1 will forever remember the feeling of picking up our first ever weapon. Well, you tried D2 Kvostov and goddamn did it feel good. Every ricochet fills you with joy. You love what this gun brings to the table and what it represents, and you're so happy that it still feels this good at the very end of the road. Le Monarch. How do I say this delicately? You play to win, and you don't give a single fuck about what anybody else thinks. You've gotten countless angry post-game DMs, but you just shake them off like a wet dog coming out of the pool. If this is truly your main squeeze, then you probably have a Hunter PvP build complete with the Oathkeeper gauntlets, and you'll hardscope down lanes so hard that your arms fall asleep holding back that drawstring, but it don't matter. Nailing those headshots and forcing players behind cover for 10 minutes is the only thing that truly gives you joy. Legend of Acreus. Either you're a PvP player with a lot of goddamned aura, or more likely you're an endgame PvE enjoyer and you love dealing damage up close with your beloved electric punchy burst damage demon. And anytime that a friend or LFG teammate isn't being optimal with their trench barrel reloading inputs, you can actually smell it like a lioness smelling fear. And it makes you sick. Leviathan's Breath. Honestly, extremely based. There's something irreplaceable about damaging a boss with a bow so big it has a goddamn chain as a drawstring. Or you're probably just a Void Hunter using Mobius Quiver to make your Levi's Breath hit like a truck. Also, if you immediately skipped ahead in the video to this exotic, there's like a 90% chance that you're Sammy Cat. Lodestar. There's a really good chance that for a brief window in time, you were the absolute biggest PvP meta whore imaginable and would terrorize entire lobbies with your Radiant Dance machine wearing Hunter. Eventually, when Bungie announced the gun was getting nerfed, you went, "Aw, come on, it's not even that bad." But deep down, you know it was, goddammit. Now go put on a hand cannon like a real man, Lord of Wolves. Ah man, I'm gonna pour one out for you right now because for a long while you were living high on the hog with your broken little trash gun. Much like how I imagine Will Smith dreams about how he could forever return to the 90s, you fantasized about returning to a time where you could use your special weapon to effortlessly burn down a raid or dungeon boss. Man, those were the good old days, you tell yourself. You still keep the Lord of Wolves in your back pocket, you know, just in case, but you know it just ain't the same. Lorentz Driver. You know, I'm really trying to be a kinder, more understanding gamer as I grow older, but I can't even pretend to care with this one. You better tell me right now that this was your favorite exotic in PvE for some kind of weird, wacky Void build, because if I find out that any of you mained this in PvP during one of the most annoying trials metas of all time, I swear on Yahweh, I will be under your bed tonight. Lumina, you're a team player, and a good one at that. You enjoy playing PvE, and you really enjoy the satisfaction that comes from both healing and directly buffing the damage of your fellow gamers. You're happy to give your homies that slight extra boost in the DPS department. It's kind of that same feeling you get when you help your mom bring in the groceries. You're helping someone out and having fun. Although, on more than one occasion, you may have accidentally barked at a teammate who killed the enemy you were aiming at and gave them a, "Hey man, you took my kill, I was gonna make a remnant for you." Malfeasance. Originally, you weren't incredibly sold on the Malf, but you worked really hard at killing those meatballs in Gambit, goddammit, so you were sure as hell gonna use it. And after a while, it grew on you. It looked cool enough, and you really enjoyed making enemy guardians explode in PvP and Gambit. There's still something incredibly fun about that to this day, even if you haven't done it in a while. If this was your favorite exotic in PvE, odds are pretty good that you've had a lot of good times as a hunter pairing the Malf together with ye old Lucky Pantaloons. It wasn't really top tier, but it kaboomed a lot of taken enemies on your watch and you had a damn fun time doing it. Merciless. You're a PvE demon who's a big lover of endgame content, and there's also a pretty good chance you enjoy low manning and solo challenges as well. Odds are high that you weren't even playing Destiny when this exotic first dropped into the game. You were probably just a kid when that happened, but you're here to enjoy it now and all the fun backup DPS DPS it has to offer. Microcosm. You're a person of straightforward and simple taste, and you like trace rifles. It really ain't any deeper than that. Let the DPS min-maxers enjoy their loadout swapping or whatever the Christ they're doing over there with their low man challenges. You're just gonna have fun holding M1 and beaming the Christ out of whatever's in front of you, regardless of activity. It satisfies your soul. The gun looks sick and honestly, good enough. Mida Multi-Tool. You're a PvP enjoyer through and through. And while, yes, everyone used Mida Multi-Tool way back in the dark times, you stuck with it. You found it to be reliable, efficient, and it provided you with valuable utility that you put to good use. You probably play on controller, people respect your PvP talent, and there's a good chance that you play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you're from Canada because you're Drewski. Monte Carlo. One of two things is true. You either really enjoy your build, which heavily focuses on melee shenanigans that you love fueling with the Carlo, or two, you just love having an exotic with a sick-ass bayonet on it, and you were ecstatic when Bungie finally gave you the ability to shank people with it via the exotic catalyst. The game may not be getting any future content, but hey man, you got what you wanted, and you'll be out there shooting and stabbing till the sun goes down. Necrochasm. Necrochasm mains are, more often than not, hanging onto a lot of nostalgia for the good old days. They're the Destiny equivalent of an old dude sitting on a porch and reflecting on years past. The Taken King, they'll say. Now that was the best darn game expansion I ever did play. Gamers today will never understand. To their credit though, they are kinda right to a degree. Not to mention cursed thrall explosions are actually quite sick. New Land Beyond. Despite this weapon having deep PvP roots dating back to D1, you're actually a PvE player and you love the awesome old school bolt action vibes this gun brings to the table. You're also a pretty good shot and you love casually seeing how high you can get your New Land stacks during literally any PvE activity, often making sure to tell your buddies on the mic whenever you just reached 67 stacks in particular. New Malpai. I'm just being completely honest, but I'm genuinely wondering if there's some old Destiny players who have come back for the final hurrah in June who are watching this and just said out loud, what the fuck is New Malpai? If this is your favorite exotic, you are without question a Strand fiend. You've got an entire build and playstyle focused around suspending enemies and you love it to death. I commend you, New Malpai fans, for not caving to the meta. Far greater options have been dangled in front of you, but you said, nah, no thanks. I have what I need already. It's like when someone who becomes rich and successful in Hollywood marries and stays together with their high school sweetheart. It's actually very touching. No time to explain. You are a PvP player on M&K, or at least you were one back when the pulse rifle meta was in full swing. You loved two-bursting players from downtown with your almighty techno demon rifle. It was like being hooked on a dark drug. And of course, having your little bullet buddy pop in to help you always felt genuinely wholesome. True, he barely did much to actually help, but you loved him anyway. Oh yeah, and you've probably made no less than 100 I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain jokes when discussing this weapon with your buddies. 1,000 voices. 1K mains are based. It is literally an Ahamkara bone that shoots dragon fire. How could you not like that gun? If this has been your favorite exotic for a while now, you probably at one point wished it would get an exotic catalyst. And congratulations, looks like the Ahamkara were listening after all. Kind of a shame you didn't use that one wish on something else though, but a little bit late for that, I guess. Osteostriga. While you have good taste, admit it, you're kinda lazy, and not one to get lost in the process of designing and running overly complex builds. In Osteostriga, you found not necessarily a gun you would use 100% of the time across every activity, but definitely your go-to. You're all reliable, so to speak. 9 times out of 10, if you're playing a raid or dungeon with your homies, everyone correctly assumes that you're gonna be, quote, on ad clear, and that sits just fine with you. Outbreak perfected. Outbreak mains are awesome. It's kind of become your all-purpose gun for any given PvE activity, even if you're the only one on the team using it. Of course, you always try to gently encourage your teammates to jump on the Outbreak train too, because hey, more nanites always equals more fun. In dungeons and raids, you're ecstatic anytime your teammates agree to use Outbreak to take down a boss, because you can basically put your feet up and sip a beer during DPS. Now that's what I call optimal. Parasite. You're a PvE player, and yeah, you mainly love Parasite because you love pulling the trigger and being able to nuke whatever happens to be in front of you without a second thought. And Parasite is one of those guns that is not only fun in the neutral game, but great in some really really fun boss encounters. And I mean, come on, you got a silly little guy in your gun. What's not to love? Polaris Lance. I mean, I could call you a plain Jane white bread son of a bitch, but hey, who among us can resist the lure of the plink plink boom gun? You've fiddled around with other weapons and other loadouts. Who hasn't? But you feel that there's something so incredibly satisfying when you're constantly blowing up half the room with regular long-range primary fire. The artifacts Bungie have left you to tinker with will no doubt provide a lot of extra fun, all with you, respectfully, barely needing to think at all. You actually kinda pity players who never really know what build to rock. You've got everything you've ever needed bundled up in a sleek, sexy package. Praxic Blade. You have probably been given a lot of grief, or at the very least have heard a lot of comments about the Star Wars crossover being weak. And hey man, you might agree with that, but all you know for sure is that the Praxic Blade is awesome, and you are correct. You love everything about it, how versatile it is, how fun it is to cut through enemies, the feeling you get when you throw it like a boomerang, even the sound it makes when you deflect incoming gunfire. Absolute goddamn cinema right there. If this is truly your favorite exotic, you know how to have fun, and you can smile and be cheery even in tough situations. Good for you. Prometheus Lens. You like dishing out Scorch, plain and simple. There were also probably very few of you up until recently when Bungie finally buffed the gun to a reasonable degree. There's a very slim chance that you still rock a very particular emblem from an extremely silly weekend long ago back in the good old days. Quicksilver Storm. You are a fan of one-size-fits-all solutions. For a brief, beautiful window in time, you used Quicksilver for absolutely everything imaginable in PvE. It was your Swiss Army knife. It paired well with strand builds, you never needed to really care about ammo management, and you got to hit enemies really hard with on-demand grenade launching. You were definitely really irritated with Bungie when the gun eventually got taken down a peg or two, but you haven't stopped using it because you still feel the magic. And how many other exotics in the game have sick-ass spikes that pop out of the gun? I rest my case. Rat King. 9 times out of 10, Rat King mains are hilarious or just chill fun people to be around. They will use their beloved silly gun even if they're the only ones on the fire team using it. They genuinely love it that much. But hey, if you ever want to make their year, just voluntarily tell them you're joining them and equipping Rat King as well. They will beam with joy and you'll have some fun times, no matter the activity. Red Death Reformed. You're a PvP player and you don't really care what the meta is. You like pulse rifles and comfortable reliability. Let the hand cannon lovers enjoy their dick measuring contest for who has the best rolled rows. They all brought slide shot explosive payload anyway and they're arguing over the barrels. In the meantime, you'll be comfortably laning from the backfield, bursting fools, regen in health, and chuckling to yourself. Revision 0. You're a controller-wielding PvP lover, and you feel with your entire chest that people have been hella sleeping on the Revision for almost its entire existence. Not only does it feel good normally, but demolishing players with your built-up sniper round is chef's goddamn kiss. You wonder if maybe one day your fellow Guardians will wake up and give it a try? But hey, no skin off your nose if they don't. They'll simply be left wondering what the hell just happened to them. Risk Runner. You're a PvE enjoyer, and you know each and every activity where the Risk Runner shines brightly. I ain't just talking about raid and dungeon encounters. I'm talking strikes, lost sectors, anything at all. Literally any location in the game where you get hit with a slightly higher than average amount of arc damage, Risk Runner comes right out of your back pocket ready to go. I'm telling you guys, this insert activity here is so much easier with Risk Runner, are maybe the most frequently heard words out of your mouth. You're like the Destiny version of the guy who tells everybody they really should get a bidet. Ruinous Effigy. You are a silly Billy of the highest caliber. There are players out there who genuinely tried to figure out the Effigy's role within the meta, possibly as some kind of niche, interesting void weapon that fits well into certain builds, but that was not you. Once you found out you could shrink your dead enemies into a ball and then physically dunk them into another enemy, that was literally all you needed to hear, and you proceeded to crack yourself up doing only that in the Crucible for what most players would describe as a shocking amount of time. Salvation's Grip. You have an eye for the unique, or maybe more likely, you're an Uber. No, goddamn, not goober, oob, out of bounding. This gun helps you do weird, kooky things as you explore far beyond where the devs intended you to roam. You're a cat who has mastered being an escape artist, and you you cannot be contained. You know exactly how to use this gun to try and push your spawn point around and straight up break things. Fun. Try not to get lost out there, little explorer. Service of Luzaku. You enjoy fun build crafting and healing your teammates. Strand is your flavor of choice, and there's nothing you enjoy more than running around in matchmade activities, putting in as much work as you can to keep your teammates alive. Now, I could tell you that there are other much easier ways of doing that don't compromise your heavy slot, but your weapon is a tribute to one of the dopest characters in the game, so obviously we're gonna let that slide. Skyburner's Oath. I will literally, for real, pull off my shoes right now and eat both of my socks with a knife and fork if you can look me dead in the eye and tell me truthfully that throughout your entire Destiny career, not once did you ever tell a teammate, another player, anybody at all, hey, did you know that the Skyburner's Oath can shoot through the Cabal bubble while you were in the middle of playing the Proving Ground strike? Yeah, that's what I thought. Joke's on you anyway, I never put socks on these grippers. Slayer's Fang. Admit it, you were originally drawn to this weapon because of its cool gothic edgelord vibe. It's like the shotgun Sable Ward would use if she were legally allowed to shoot the unknown. Yeah, I play other games. Anyway, once you started tinkering with it, you found out it was actually pretty solid. It fit in well with your Void builds and your overall playstyle. You know that it ain't that popular of a gun, but who cares? You've made it yours. Sleeper Simulant. You are a fan of the classics, especially when the classics are a giant goddamn laser cannon shooting beams of death thicker than your forearm. You always shake your head at people who never bothered to go get the exotic catalyst because you know they are truly missing out, like with a capital T. Still Hunt. You are unarguably, without question, a PvE hunter who loves one thing and one thing only: highly optimized DPS. Your builds are finely tuned and nothing tickles your brain quite like burning down the chonkiest enemies in the game with faster than lightning loadout swapping between multiple perfected builds. If the boss doesn't go down in one phase, something has clearly gone wrong and you tell everybody to wipe so you can start over and guarantee the one phase. And when the wipe screen pops up, you beam with delight as you are always damage mogging your fellow teammates. Just remember that not everyone out there on LFG knows how to be an S-tier god killer, oh sweat lord mine. Sturm. When you first used this exotic way back in early D2, you found it not great. Boring, vanilla, forgettable. But many things have changed since then, and after a few tweaks under the hood and the rise of the 120 RPM hand cannon meta, you went back to try it just for laughs and found it, well, quite good, actually. Good enough to the point where you never really saw the need to farm for an igneous hammer in PvP. And you never really cared that much about pairing it together with Drang. Yeah, they do go great together, but so does peanut butter and chocolate, and there's nothing wrong with eating straight chocolate out of the bag, you feel me? Weapon pairing aside, you just wanted a smooth feeling hand cannon, and man, that is exactly what you got. Sunshot. You're a bit of a trend follower. Be honest, there's a high chance that you fell in love with Sunshot around the same time everybody else did, when the meta shifted and suddenly everybody and their grandmother was burning down every PvE activity with this damn gun. They eventually tweaked Sunshot for being too free of a primary weapon, which, in hindsight, fair, but you still liked using it. Sure, you might be a bit of a former meta whore, but whatever, you found your gun and you're sticking with it. And some of those ornaments are fire, admittedly. Suros Regime. You might be a real OG, having played in the way back times. Either that, or at the very least, you're a fan of simplicity and a certified official AR lover. The update Bungie made that allows you to swap back and forth between the two different rates of fire without needing to open the menu personally ranks among the top 3 best things Bungie has ever given you, and you're the type of person who sticks to your guns. And I mean that quite literally. You refuse to take off Suros Regime in PvP, no matter what the scoreboard might say. Sweet Business. Sweet Business mains are among my favorite people in Destiny. I'm not saying the gun is good, or even that more people should use it. I am saying that biz lovers are often very fun people who don't like to take themselves or the game too seriously. Usually they are just a lighthearted, fun-loving Titan player, often rocking Actium War Rig, holding down the trigger and having a good time. They may not exactly be top in the DPS charts, but I'd have them on my fire team any day. Symmetry. You love scout rifles, and you love an exotic with a fun built-in minigame to keep you mentally occupied, so Symmetry really feels like it was made just for you. When you're playing PvP, even casual quick play, you lock the F in if you start building up stacks, because nothing nothing feels better to you than that sweet Arc Seeker 2-tap and the knowledge that the guy you just killed probably said out loud, "What the hell just happened?" Teraba. You're a PvP playing Titan main, and while you have a few builds you enjoy tinkering with, your favorite of all remains Peacekeeper Teraba. Unleashing the beast on some poor bastard is incredibly awesome. You've used this build so much and for so long, one might say you have difficulty letting things go, but hey, look who's talking, am I right? Telesto. You like things that are fun, and you love leaning into one of the longest running memes in Destiny's history. Your precious gun is a strange bundle of game-breaking mystery. You remember every moment something dumb was blamed on the gun. All those times are permanently locked away in your heart, including and especially the time that some of the community's finest thought they were seeing frickin' constellations in the bolt patterns. Felt like the entire community was just freaking out and spouting nonsense that day.
I haven't had sex in 2 years!
Tessellation. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know exactly how many of you out there actually do main the tessellation, but if you do, you truly have an eye for the unique and the fascinating. You've got a build you really like using with this gun, probably focused around transcendence or grenade spam, and people always ask you to tell them how good the gun is because apparently everyone else in the game has never used it before. The Chaperone. You are a PvP player, an OG and a bit of a deviant. I don't mean you're a bad person, you're just a savage, and you always have been, even if that dates back to Destiny 1 PvP. You lock the hell in when you need to, and you do your damnedest to get as many sweet one-taps as you can, and the further away, the better. When pellet spread plebs play against you, you are a shining example to them of what can be accomplished when you put in the work and train your aim with a slug shotty. And by the way, I say that as a lifelong pellet pleb. The Colony. You are a big, silly goofball. You know 100% that the Colony is arguably one of the worst exotics in the history of the game, but hey, it's cool. Tracking down enemies with teeny aggro robot spiders is like something a cartoon bad guy would do, and it fills you with joy. It literally is never not great. The Fourth Horseman. I'm not sure how many of you are actually left at this point, but once upon a time, this was your go-to weapon. Mag dumping thick enemies point blank in PvE was greatly entertaining to you. Either that, or more frighteningly, you're a PvP player, and you literally pray to Jesus that the Titan on the enemy team will pop their Ward of Dawn just so you can have the opportunity to slide into the bubble and force feed him 5 rounds of buckshot just for the clip. The Huckleberry. You don't take the game too seriously, and you know how to have fun. When you listen to your friends describe the detail involved in their subclass build, you can feel your brain turning into jello. Why are they overcomplicating things so much when all they really need to know is that Huckleberry go burr? The world may never know. Have fun out there, you beautiful ad clear king. The Jade Rabbit. Alright, if Jade Rabbit has been your favorite exotic for years now, I ain't saying I'd hit you with my car, but I'd at least think about clipping your butt with one of the side view mirrors as I went by, because it means you were probably a PvP player who either just plinked away from the very back of the map or went way up in the air as a solar warlock to be a jerk. But if Jade Rabbit is your favorite exotic now, you're arguably even worse, because you've jumped on the Jade Rabbit bandwagon now that it has the ability to one-shot people around corners in PvP with micro missiles. Good lord, I want some of whatever that Bungie dev was smoking when they came up with that buff. The Lament. Hell yeah, dude. If I could high-five you through the phone and or monitor, I would. You are hardcore, or at the very least, you know a good time when you see it. The Lament is a sick favorite exotic to have, both in terms of dealing flashy close-range damage and having a metal AF design. You love the feeling you get when you land hits, and you especially love that final over-the-top swing. I feel like some exotics are kinda just timid, and by that I mean they were just created to maybe assist people with build crafting, but not the Lament. The last word. You know, I don't know a whole lot of things. I don't know how big the universe is. I don't know why people willingly eat candy corn when there is so much better candy out there. But one thing I do know is that if the last word is your favorite exotic, you are a controller rocking PvP player. At least historically, that's probably what you are. They did just buff M&K aim assist on this gun. But yeah, you're a stick wielding hip firing machine, and damn it, I think you got good taste. Either that or you're the voice actor for Lodi, Brian Villalobos. Hi, Brian. Anyway, last word is fire, even though it's annoying as hell to fight against. Yeehaw there, partner, go get one last 3-tap just for me. The Manticore. You like PvP, you like SMGs, and you like playing the game a little bit differently no matter what other people say. There were a few metas over the years that raised your eyebrow a little bit, but when you were finally able to break other players' ankles and F around with them while being in the air, something in your brain just clicked, like when a dog sees a tennis ball for the first time. Sure, it gets you into trouble sometimes when you overcommit to aerial combat, but to you, it's worth it every time. The Navigator. You are, without question, a PvE player, and you are hard goddamn core, at least in comparison to the average player. You're the type of Guardian who very much cares about their day one raid placements, and you love the Navigator because it lets you do a lot of things, all of them awesome, including being able to beat the absolute bejesus out of raid and dungeon bosses with hyper-powered strand melees. At least it did allow you to do that for a while. Sorry about the recent strand melee nerfs, man. Hope you and the Discord of speedrunners/low manners aren't taking it too hard. The Prospector. Let me guess, you used to be that guy on the raid team who would use the Prospector to launch the rally flag way up high in the air. You're like the weird family uncle who still comes up to you and says, "Hey, pull my finger." Like, damn it, Lewis, we're at Grandpa's funeral. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna pull it, but lock the fuck in, man. We can't keep doing this. The Queenbreaker. You like things that are straightforward and non-complicated. Also, there's a really good chance you started using this gun when it got really buffed not too long ago, and even though it got nerfed a wee bit after that, you went, I still kind of like using it, and I don't want to grind for a new god roll LFR at this point. Which, I mean, yeah, I get it. Do your thing. The Wardcliff Coil. Either you really, really enjoy cooking Dul Inkaru, or maybe more likely you're a PvP player who has 2 legendary weapons you enjoy using a lot, so with your exotic slot free, you figured, it's easy to use and it mops up, so why the hell not? Round here, we call that the Pure Chill Special. Third Iteration. Let's not kid ourselves. If Third Iteration is your favorite exotic, I get it, but be honest, you like using really strong, effective stuff in the games you play. So effective that they might actually border on boring. Kinda like the kid in your neighborhood who always picked Meta Knight in Smash Bros. Brawl. I like him because he's cool. No, you like him because he's broken as hell and banned from national tourneys, and you can't pull dubs with Captain Falcon Jeremy, you little shit. Oh well, I admit though, Third Iteration is hella cool. Those few first weeks that gun was out at max power are burned into my soul. Thorn. My man. Look, I love Thorn to death, but I admit it, if it's your favorite exotic, you have an inner edgelord buried deep inside you. You probably listened to My Chemical Romance and loved going into Spencer's Gifts at any given opportunity. You might even have a 3D printed model on your desk or a piece of awesome art of said weapon. Dear God, I can't believe I'm married. I really conned the hell out of my wife, I tell you what. Thunderlord. You are a simple man, and that suits you fine. You like PvE, and you might even have a contest raid completion under your belt, but you do not go in for overly complicated DPS builds. Let the Izanagi rocket swapping people do whatever the hell it is they're doing. You're just gonna sit there, hold an M1, and if it's good enough for a clean 4-phase, that's all that matters, baby. Tiku's Divination. You like bows, but even more than that, you like explosions. Anytime there were bow-heavy perks in the artifact, you were one happy SOB because it meant you could hop into any given PvE activity and detonate the entire room that much more effectively. You're also extremely okay with repetition. In fact, you take comfort in it. Hipfire shot, ADS shot, hipfire shot, ADS shot. Simple, and there's almost a rhythm to it after a while. You're a human metronome. You know, if metronomes could blow things up. Tommy's Matchbook. You cannot, will not succumb to any kind of peer pressure whatsoever. You are immune, just as you're immune to the pleas of your teammates as they ask you to use any other exotic primary. Bro, there's easier ways to get Cure and do Scorch. True, but do they also give me the vibe of a 1930s Tommy gun wielding mobster in outer space? Checkmate, plebs. Touch of Malice. You're old school, and you think that the Hive are hands down the most awesome enemy faction in the game, which is objectively correct, by the way. You love Oryx, and you'll always have a soft spot in your heart for the King's Fall raid, and that goes double for the Taken King expansion in general. You maybe don't use Touch of Malice a lot, despite it being your actual favorite exotic. It's more so because you dig the vibe of the gun. And I gotta tell ya, hell of a goddamn vibe. Tractor Cannon. You're a dedicated PvE player and the best kind of teammate. Hey man, debuffing is a dirty job, but somebody's gotta do it. And you're actually happy to be the designated tractor guy. You have a backup DPS weapon that you probably really enjoy using, and deep down, you secretly really enjoy the fact that on any raid wipe screen, if you have the lowest damage number on the whole team, you can just say, "Don't look at me, man, I'm using Tractor. Traveler's chosen." You are a sidearm lover, and you probably play on controller, and honestly, you mainly use the chosen for no reason other than it feels good to use. You think the ability energy regen factor is a neat side bonus, but there's just something about the gun itself. It's smooth, you land your shots, everything just works and feels right. But hey, you don't question it, you just embrace it. Trespasser. Hashtag Trespasser gang rise up. You're most likely a PvP player and sidearm lover, and you know what, man? I gotta give you credit, at least you're unique enough to not use Drang. Or maybe you use Trespasser because it's the closest possible thing to your real favorite exotic, Dreg's Promise. Ah man, shame we never got that thing back. Maybe in Destiny 3, right? Right guys? Trinity Ghoul. Chain lightning is your business, and business is good. You also like lightning and thunderstorms. I mean, hey, who doesn't? But what you really like is clearing waves and waves of trash with no effort at all. Yeah, you may just be the ad clear guy, but man, you do it with style. Truth. You know, I'd like to think that there's one guy out there, one guy who spent his entire Destiny 2 career loving truth. Even when it was the most mid-forgettable exotic in the game. Even when his friends made fun of him and said things like, "Dave, will you please use a different fucking exotic, man? We've been stuck on this raid boss for 4 hours." I'd like to think that guy has the world's biggest smile on his face now that truth is a certifiable DPS demon. But aside from the very few Daves out there, wherever they may be, the remaining 99.99% of the community loves truth just now at the end of D2 because goddamn, talk about your all-time glow-ups. Turncoat. If Turncoat is your favorite exotic, I'm actually kind of shocked. It means you either never had another favorite exotic weapon until right now at the very end, or that this hand cannon impressed you so much with its design and flash that it shot to the top of your list right away. Or maybe you just really like the fact that it's bugged and can make your weapons do 25% more damage, and that it's probably too late for Bungie to patch by now. Whoops. Two-tailed fox. Look, I'm not saying that you're a furry, but I'm also not saying that you're a furry. And I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, that's fine. You do you. I've seen posts on r/loser city before, had a laugh or two before I got scared and left, but let's at least be honest with ourselves. You probably have a bunch of hyper and terminally online goofy friends that you have only ever known through Discord, and at least half of them have really wild PFPs. And no, I'm not going to show you an example here, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Vergless Curve. Curve mains like bows, but even more so than that, they love stasis. You know how you can ask a 9-year-old kid to tell you about Minecraft and they can just talk for an hour straight without taking a breath? If things are ever too quiet in your fire team, just ask the local Vergless wielder to tell you about their stasis build. Good lord, they will take you on a magic carpet ride explaining the decision behind every fragment, every armor mod, artifact, perk, you name it. Gotta give them credit, they are passionate about what they do. Vex Mythoclast. You feel like Mytho is stylish as hell, and it feels real good when you use it, which likely is being done in PvP. And if you're a warlock, you are 100% using it together with the Rain of Fire boots. You get really excited when you build up a linear charge, and you really chuckle to yourself when you just smoke some poor jabroni with that charge from downtown. Odds are you never used the original Mytho at the height of its power in D1, and you've always dreamed you could somehow travel back and see what that was like. But the current version will have to do, and you're completely okay with that. Vex Caliber. Look, you know I dunk on glaive users a lot, but I think that if you main Vex Caliber, you're actually kind of a badass. It's one of the sickest looking exotics without question, and you love the gameplay loop of nabbing a free overshield, then rushing in to smack things extra hard. You've noticed a lot of your friends and teammates don't even really know what Vex Caliber is supposed to do. In fact, hardly any of them have it at all, and you feel that they really missed out. Oh well, more aura farming for you. Vigilance Wing. Man, oh man, when you find something you like, you stick with it. Half the clothes in your entire wardrobe are at least a decade old, but hey man, they still fit, and you love that shirt. Why the hell would you throw it out? Anyway, yeah, you're a PvP guy, and this has been your go-to option for quite literally as long as you can physically remember. Even after it got slowly power crept by, well, everything, it still feels good to you, and in your opinion, if it ain't broke, you'll eventually be lowered into your goddamn grave with it. Wave Splitter. You absolutely march to the beat of your own drum. You know your wonky little RNG beam ain't that popular, but you have a really fun build you like to use with it where you can print a metric butt ton of orbs of power just so you can really crank up the dial on the splitter. It ain't much, but it fills you with joy. Whirling Ovation. I like your style, bro. This gun is actually really enjoyable burst damage, and I feel like people kind of sleep on it. But hey, I get it. There's a lot of competition in that particular department, but yeah, good on you for doing your own thing. Don't let those DPS min-maxers get under your skin. Whisper of the Worm. You recognize Whisper as one of the most fire-looking exotics in the game, and hey, you don't always get an opportunity to break out this bad boy. Whenever you do, you relish the opportunity because using Whisper is like a fun little mini-game in its own, and you love it. Also, like many, you have fond memories of unlocking this exotic to begin with. Those were good times. Wicked Implement. You're a casual PvE enjoyer, and you don't like to overthink things. You enjoy the stasis build that you've put together, and you equally enjoy the feeling of your guardian sucking up any nearby stasis shards like a hungry vacuum cleaner. Your friends are kind of afraid to tell you that if you put the same amount of effort into a special weapon build, you'd probably mop up trash way faster. But they'd be wasting their breath. You're the plink ice guy. Winterbite. You love glaives, and you love stasis, and when you used Winterbite for the first time, it just felt right. You feel like more people would really like it if they just gave it a try, but you're also happy to be the Winterbite guy on your team. You've also greatly enjoyed watching clips of each and every time this goofy-ass exotic managed to break the game by violating some poor boss's health bar. Wish Ender. You like things that are sleek and elegant, and the moment you laid eyes on this beauty, you knew you had to use it. During the absolute height of your Destiny obsession, you could very often be found in Grandmaster Nightfalls, usually at the very back of any given area, rhythmically plinking away, eradicating one enemy at a time. Sure, it took you way longer than most fire teams to clear the GM, but you always got it done with minimal hassle. To the very few PvP wish enders out there, you used your toy in trials to get an edge on passive corner campers, and you know what? Good for you. Wish Keeper. You love Strand, and you love your elegant as hell bow, but you know what you really love, even more than stringing things up like a bondage enthusiast? You absolutely love the lore behind this exotic, and you're kind of a romantic at heart. Most of the time you keep it to yourself because you don't want to be that person, but the one time your friends started talking about something minor in the lore, you immediately turned into My Name is Bife and gushed about the fantastic tale of Riven and Tyrannus. Witherhorde. I find that most Witherhorde mains are awesome, albeit maybe a bit lazy. Don't get me wrong, they can hang in PvE, but their whole playstyle is sort of a set it and forget it vibe. Kind of like that one person you know who does a lot of cooking, but 99% of it is done in a slow cooker. Like they could accomplish so much more if they just put a little bit more effort in. Now, please excuse me, I have to respond to an angry DM from my Twitch mod who uses nothing but this gun. Wolfsbane. You are metal as hell, and I'm kind of here for it. You like fighting your foes up close and personal, and once you saw this flaming sword, axe, whatever hybrid, something deep in your gut just said, oh yeah. You also kind of giggle deep down in your soul a little bit every time Lord Saladin called you Young Wolf. The exact same feeling you get when the friendly old neighborhood dude calls you Youngblood. There's just nothing better. Worldline Zero. You've got style, and you're a big fan of movement tech. You'll never forget what Bungie took from you. That is OG Worldline skating. You know you can still kinda do it, but yeah, you have a noticeably large chip on your shoulder. They gave your beloved, beautiful baby a speeding ticket, and yet the eager edge bros can still zip around like coked up hummingbirds. And I, for one, agree with you that that is bullshit. Xenophage. You like Xenophage for its simplicity. It is a point-and-click adventure. It hits respectably hard, and whenever the opportunity calls for it, you are happy to use it. If you ever had to play Gambit for one reason or another, you would gladly invade and use your beloved Xeno to smoke people from across the map. Let your teammates handle the primeval. You've got important Guardian murder-related work to focus on. Boom. Done. Think I'm wrong? First of all, how dare you? And second of all, leave your opinion on any exotic down in the comments section. I love all of you very much. Thank you for watching. Please like and share, and I will see you on Twitch.